So I would like to, to Ambassador, to give you the floor first.
Yeah.
Please.
Mr. Bergen, Mr. Hamrick, all the distinguished participants, a good morning to all of you. I was told that I have only 5 to 6 minutes, so I will tell you 2 stories. One to start with, one to end with. About 28 years ago, 1981, it's a fairy tale, but a real fairy tale. 7 men, actually 6 men and 1 woman, pulled together the savings of $250 and set up a company in India. Their first client was an American company. They had, of course, 7 employed themselves. 28 years later, this company has a market capitalization of $27 billion. That means 10 million times since 1981. Its number of employees has moved from 7 to over 100,000 persons. Its revenues have gone from 0 to over almost $5 billion. The company, ladies and gentlemen, is Infosys. And let me right at the outset say I do not have any shares in Infosys. This is a great story, a great economic miracle, but there's more to it. These 7 people, they were not the sons and daughters of kings, maharajas, or of politicians, or of merchant princes, or bureaucrats and high positions. They were from the middle class, perhaps even lower middle class. And that is why the fact that such a band of young men and women could do this is itself another great news. But there's more to it. They did it without violating any laws, no smuggling, no hanky-panky. They did it just through hard work, commitment, and all that. That's also great. But even greater, it's not that they found gold or diamond or petrol. They did something. They worked in the field of high technology. Now, these are the 4 dimensions I'd like to elaborate a little bit. The economic miracle of Infosys reflects the economic miracle of what's happening in India. And why is it happening and will continue to happen? Well, first and foremost, see, India was always known earlier as a rich country, but then it slid down. Between 1900 and 1950, our average per capita growth rate was 0.2%. Silver play, just 0.2%. Obviously, there couldn't be much growth. Between 50 to 80, that is about 30 years after that, it moved to 1.1%. Again, not much to talk about. But in the 80s, after that, it became, in 80s it was 3.2%. Well, things were moving. In the 90s, when we started reforms, it went to 3.6%. And the last 10 years, it has been about 5.5% per capita growth rate. And it is this fact that now you have accumulation of assets which can be used for the development, and therefore that self-generation, the motor has started, the economic motor has started. India is about $1 trillion economy, $1 trillion market capitalization, and so on and so forth. We are among the largest producers of tractors. We are among the largest producers of milk, number 1 in milk, bananas, butter, and so on and so forth. Number 2 in cement, in railways. Number 3 in satellites. I mentioned satellites because people don't associate a developing country with satellite. We have the largest communication system in the world. We're the only country with a satellite entirely dedicated to education, EduSat. We have 6,000 journals, newspapers every day. We have about 380 universities. We have about 18,000 colleges, and so on and so forth. So this is the miracle which is taking place. Number 2, I talked about the middle class origins. India was earlier known for its richness, but that richness was concentrated with the Maharajas. The Maharaja of Jaipur, we had heard all the fabulous stories of the Maharaja of Jaipur and others. But this time it is the richness of the common people of India, and there are 1.1 billion, ladies and gentlemen. And just to tell you how much is 1.1 billion, if you want to shake hands with every Indian, Mr. Vivek Shekhar, Mr. Shetty, Ms. Anu, you will take 38 years non-stop, night and day. Just to shake hands. And out of this, 52% of these are less than 25 years of age. Men and women like her with tremendous energy, enthusiasm, capacity and competence. And therefore there is a dilemma here. And number 3, I mentioned about how they went up without having connections, without violating laws, because in 90s we started reforming, and the main impact of our reforms was that it made it easy for foreigners to do business in India, as you will find it. But much more importantly, it made it easy for Indians to do business in India and abroad, and therefore you will see a tremendous growth of business, the entrepreneurship. Infosys itself is an example. Any young man or any young woman with a good idea and willing to work hard can be a success. And lastly, the 4th point, Infosys was in IT. Of course, we came to IT by chance. It was thanks to Y2K that people suddenly recognized India's talent. But software is not a soft subject. It's a tough subject, and it's among the most difficult one. But we are competing with the best. And in fact, I think we can tell you about CMM level 5, capability maturity model. We are at the highest level. 2/3 of all CMM level 5 companies in the world are Indians. In manufacturing, again, I'm sure you've heard of Deming's Award. Indian companies never got a Deming's Award. This is the highest quality level prize by the Japanese. And until 1997, no Indian company had got. In 97 we got one. After that we have been getting so many. But I think in the last few years we have been outstripping the Japanese themselves. And for those of you who think that India is for the back office and China is the workshop, have a rethink. India can be both a back office as well as a workshop, because we have not just the capability of the brain, but the belly, the fire in the belly to work, and the willingness to work. I would like to say more, but I think my 5 minutes ending, but I'll end up with another story. And this is not mine. This is a story which appeared in the Herald Tribune in 1998. And I used to read all these stories because I was in Paris and the French were very skeptical, so I used to tell them these stories. This is a Herald Tribune story of June 1998. And it talked about a young American called Christopher who went to the Wall Street to finance his business plan. So I went to them and they looked at his documents. They hummed and hawed. Okay. So he said, what's wrong? Is the business model not all right? They said, no, it's all right. They said, to be frank, it's a name. He said, what's wrong with my name? Christopher is a good American name. I said, yes, it is a good American name, but we would have felt more comfortable if it was Krishna Swami. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite you to the land of Krishna Swamis, where you can make business and profit. Thank you very much.
Ambassador Shetty, thank you so very much, giving us this appetizer as regards the entrepreneurial saga of India, which is a beautiful saga.